the resilience of the underestimated. Across the African savannah, where the powerful are always named first, one species endures without relying on speed or imposing size. The warthog moves low to the ground, quiet and persistent. It does not dominate the plains, yet it is rarely pushed out of the relentless rhythm that defines this land. Its rugged appearance makes the warthog easy to underestimate in a land filled with claws and sharp fangs. Yet that seemingly awkward body carries a highly effective survival strategy. There is no panic and no display of bravado. The warthog endures by knowing its limits and never pushing beyond them. In the wild, every step is a calculation. The warthog does not race to become the strongest. It chooses to maintain a steady rhythm, avoid unnecessary mistakes, and always keep an escape route within reach. That is how a prey species can endure for a very long time on the savannah. Meet the warthog. It has a particular fondness for rolling in muddy pools scattered across the savannah. This behavior is known as mud bathing, and it helps protect the skin from ticks and other parasites. Though they may look dirty, warthogs are remarkably clean animals. The layer of mud also helps them cool down under the intense heat of the day. But during the hottest months, the savannah becomes harsher than ever. The African sun burns relentlessly, drying up the mud pools completely. Warthogs are left exposed as swarms of insects gather around them, bringing constant irritation. Even their tough skin does not easily adapt to these unforgiving conditions. Under that pressure, mongooses approach at just the right moment, offering an unexpected solution for the warthog. Mongooses are social insect hunters with constant appetites. In large numbers, they require an abundant food supply. The warthog unintentionally becomes a magnet for insects, yet its body height makes access far from simple. So the wiser warthogs learn to lie down when the mongoose troop arrives. The message is unmistakable. The mongoose spa is open. As the distance narrows, the mongooses clean the hardest to reach spots. The warthog relaxes, while the mongooses enjoy a satisfying meal. A rare moment of mutual benefit on the savannah. Cut to a hungry lioness, the most extreme level of danger on the savannah. An easy meal does more than sustain the pride's strength. It becomes a living lesson for the cubs, watching every movement. The approach carries clear intent. Yet this chosen target may prove far less yielding than its appearance suggests. The approach unfolds in complete silence. Every step is calculated, every glance fixed on the same target. This is not a moment for display, but a steady build of pressure. The cubs are watching, and the need to feed the pride remains unmistakable. On the savannah, time rarely favors hesitation. The race between two athletes unfolds with intensity, pounding strides tearing through the stillness of the savannah as the gap closes fast. The warthog stops and turns to face the charging lioness. No retreat and no panic. It lowers its center of gravity, tusks aimed straight ahead. In that instant, the savannah seems to fall silent. This is no longer a chase, but a test of resolve and limit. The outcome does not unfold as the lioness expects. The warthog, far stronger than its frame suggests, activates its ultimate defense. One decisive step forward, and its sharp tusks become a boundary that cannot be crossed. Faced with that resolve, the hungry pride is forced to retreat. On the savannah, courage alone can sometimes shift the balance. The warthog does not leave the savannah after that moment. It continues to move across the harsh landscape where every mistake leaves a mark. It does not need a dramatic victory, only the ability to stand its ground. Its enduring presence comes not from a single confrontation, but from sustaining its rhythm through countless repeated trials. On the African savannah, it is not always the fastest or the strongest that endures the longest. The warthog understands this well. It does not compete to outshine others or seek domination. Instead, it avoids unnecessary risks, keeps a safe distance, and only reacts when pushed to its final limit. During the harsh dry season, when the savannah is stripped of its familiar food sources, the warthog adjusts its diet with remarkable flexibility. It digs for roots, searches for dry tubers, and even grazes on low-quality grasses. Thanks to this adaptability, the warthog persists in places where many other herbivores are forced to move on. When feeding, the warthog often kneels on its front knees, a posture rarely seen among hoofed mammals. The joints in its forelegs have evolved to bear weight efficiently, allowing the body to lower without wasting energy. Because of this, the warthog can graze close to the ground for long periods without straining its neck. The kneeling posture not only allows the warthog to reach the lowest food sources, but also reflects how it conserves energy in an environment that is constantly harsh. When every step must be calculated, reducing expenditure becomes a vital advantage. Through these small yet steady adjustments, the warthog maintains a stable rhythm across many consecutive dry seasons. But on the savannah, adaptation rarely guarantees absolute safety. From the thick brush, a familiar shape quietly emerges. The leopard is neither loud nor hurried. It watches in silence, blending seamlessly into the color of dry grass. An old threat, yet never any less dangerous. The encounter unfolds in silence. The warthog senses the presence before it can clearly see the concealed shape. The leopard advances slowly, its eyes tracking the smallest movement. There is no wasted sound, only two parallel breaths in a moment of tension, where every decision must be weighed with absolute care. The confrontation is decided by pure instinct. The warthog reacts instantly, lowering its body and holding its ground. No panic and no hesitation. It turns vigilance into a clear boundary. Faced with that resolve, the leopard is forced to withdraw. Once again, the warthog proves that survival does not belong only to predators. The warthog's strength does not lie in its appearance or speed, but in the way it reads a situation and responds at the right moment. Quiet intelligence, combined with instincts sharpened over time, creates extraordinary moments. On the savannah, it is wisdom that allows a smaller species to stand firm against far greater threats. The warthog's curved tusks are not merely a defining feature, but a 10 out of 10 weapon crafted for this species. Sharp enough to deter, strong enough to hold distance, and precise enough to reverse a situation when cornered. On the savannah, few prey species possess a defensive tool as effective and complete as this. The warthog does not seek confrontation, but it is always prepared when cornered. Through each unforgiving season, it preserves its right to remain. Not the fastest and not the strongest, yet equipped with exactly what it needs. Sometimes, a single well-suited weapon is enough to shape a long and enduring journey of survival. The migrants. The great journey of wild Africa. At the heart of wild Africa, the savannah stretches like an endless sea of gold, where the wind carries the scent of red dust and untold stories. The sun rises, casting light across cracked plains, awakening a land that lives on the edge between hunger and hope. And today, a journey begins, one that will test even the rulers of this realm. During the long, dry season, the savannah changes its face day by day. The last remaining water shrinks into muddy streaks, forcing countless lives to leave familiar ground behind. Predators and prey share the same desire to find new sources of life. And amid this great movement, the footsteps of a lion pride press deep into the parched earth. They move toward the horizon, where rumors of water still travel on the wind. But to reach it, the entire pride must cross the most dangerous barrier of the dry season, a river watched by hidden ambushers. Beneath the low rumble of sky and earth, the first trial waits ahead. Soft splashes break the savannah's silence, signaling that the river is close. Yet what seems to promise life also conceals a quiet danger. Beneath the murky surface, faint tremors like slow breathing reveal another presence waiting below. The lion pride feels the tension spreading through the air with every careful step forward. In the faintly shifting shadows of the water, cold golden eyes open, watching those about to step into its domain. The crocodile, Africa's master of ambush, lies motionless, as if fused with the river itself. Its silence makes the surface feel even more ominous, a quiet warning that the encounter ahead may be impossible to avoid. The lion pride pauses at the water's edge, studying a surface that looks calm, yet holds hidden danger. They know the crocodiles are still concealed somewhere beneath the muddy depths. Hot wind sweeps across the parched plains, urging the pride to keep moving. Caught between hesitation and the drive to survive, they prepare to step into a trial that will shape their fate. As the pride begins to wade into the murky water, one youngster falls behind. Ripples spread across the surface, signaling movement from below, and the long shadow of a crocodile glides silently closer. The river suddenly feels heavy, as if holding its breath, while panic fills the youngster's eyes. Danger now only a few heartbeats away. In a life-or-death instant, the lioness charges back against the current, sending white spray into the air. Her roar cuts across the river, forcing the crocodile to hesitate. Faced with that resolve, the ambusher slips away into deeper water. The youngster trembles as it presses back into the pride, and the river returns to its familiar calm. At last, soaked paws reach the far bank, where dry, warm ground welcomes the pride with the gentler breath of the evening wind. They lie down among sparse grasses, breathing hard after a journey filled with danger. In this rare moment of calm, they gather their strength for the long road still ahead. As the river closes over the final echoes of the encounter, the crocodile slips quietly back into familiar waters. Hunger drives it to glide deeper through the muddy depths, searching for any sign of life. And then nature delivers a rare offering, the drifting body of an old hippo, enough to sustain the river's most patient hunter. As the sun sinks behind a blazing red horizon, the river regains its timeless calm. Here, life and danger always move side by side, and each creature departs carrying a story of its own. The water keeps flowing, quietly writing new chapters for the season ahead, as if no struggle had ever taken place. Not far from where the lion pride has just passed its trial, the ground begins to tremble beneath footsteps stretching to the horizon. A wildebeest herd is starting its annual migration, following the same river that still carries echoes of survival's clash. They move like another living current of the savannah, searching for fresh grass and the last traces of water after the harsh dry season. Guided by an ancient rhythm etched deep into instinct, the wildebeest gradually gather into dark, winding streams across the plains. They know the dry season has reached its limit, and only migration can preserve life. Group after group connects like living arteries, flowing toward the promised lands ahead. Ahead, the wildebeest herd's path is blocked by the very river that still carries echoes of a dangerous chase. Beneath the surface that appears calm, hidden threats continue to wait in silence. Instinct urges them forward, yet every step toward the water's edge makes the entire herd feel the weight of the trial now unfolding. Then a few individuals suddenly leap in first, sending a powerful surge through the herd. One after another they follow, turning the riverbank into a whirl of splashing water, setting in motion a demanding crossing that marks the next chapter of their journey. The surge of water stirred by hundreds of leaps also awakens a hunter newly restored. After the unexpected feast from the hippo carcass, the crocodile moves with renewed agility and intensity. It slips quietly from its hiding place, threading through the murky water with uncompromising intent, determined to turn this river crossing into its next hunting opportunity. Amid the turbulent current, the herd's shifting paths open perfect gaps for the crocodile to strike through. From below, it suddenly surges upward, shattering the river's surface in a burst of motion. The wildebeest scatter, each animal pushing hard against the rushing water, while the hunter fixes on its target in a decisive instant with no room to turn back. In the river's turmoil, the crocodile's powerful sweep finally draws one wildebeest beneath the murky surface. The struggle ends swiftly, the way nature has operated for millions of years. As the frantic sounds fade away, the river reasserts its law, a place where life always carries an unavoidable cost. While the river still carries echoes of the dangerous chase, most of the wildebeest herd has reached the far bank. Bodies soaked, breaths racing, eyes still wide with shock, yet filled with resolve. Once solid ground returns beneath their hooves, they regroup quickly and move on, as if this were simply another inevitable trial of the migration. Ahead of the wildebeest herd, new land opens like a gentle promise after days of moving through danger. Early season green grass spreads beneath soft sunlight, carrying the scent of newly awakened life. Here, they briefly recover a sense of calm, allowing their bodies to rest before the migration carries them further on. Not far from the fresh grasslands where the wildebeest are catching their breath, the familiar footsteps of the lion pride also enter this new territory. They have crossed the dangerous river, but nature never stops testing them. In a world where predators and prey coexist, the fragile balance is once again placed on the scales. Through swirling rivers, sun-scorched plains, and endless migrations, Africa emerges as a kingdom where life is always in motion. Every creature, predator or prey, contributes its own rhythm to this vast symphony of land. All endure through resilience and through an unlimited capacity to adapt. Here, danger isn't the exception, it's the nature of existence. From the roar of lions, to the sprint of gazelles, to the silent motion of crocodiles, every moment carries the power to change fate. And yet, it is this very harshness that creates a strange kind of beauty, where every creature is compelled to grow strong in its own way. As the sun sinks behind a blazing red horizon, Africa settles into the deep breathing rhythm of night. The cycle of life continues, and new journeys will begin again when dawn returns. And in that endless motion, this wild land reminds us that nature always lives by its own laws, both ruthless and breathtakingly beautiful. Cape Buffalo, the power of wild Africa. Across a land that stretches all the way to the horizon, stands one creature ranked among the 5 that make all of Africa tread carefully. Without noise or display, the Cape Buffalo steps onto the savannah like a silent declaration. This is a land it understands and commands in its own way. What leaves the strongest impression about the Cape Buffalo is its sweeping horns, curved like a horseshoe, spreading wide before forming a powerful arc. At the center of its forehead, the thick horn plates fuse into a boss, a natural shield refined by millions of years of evolution. Even a brief glance is enough to feel a solidity that seems almost unshakable. In the early morning sun, the curve of its horns reflects a cool metallic sheen. But the Cape Buffalo's strength isn't in its appearance, it's in its presence. This is a species that doesn't rely on speed or claws to survive. It relies on endurance and on meeting every challenge with a steady, unshaken stance. The savannah always carries a quiet sense of risk, but the presence of Cape Buffalo adds another layer of tension that's hard to name. They don't seek attention, yet every step subtly reshapes the rhythm of the land. The savannah seems to recalibrate itself, making space for their passage. In a place where every day brings trials, from burning sun to nature's sudden surprises, there is a species that needs no claws, yet makes the entire savannah tread carefully. Through its commanding presence and horns that stand as symbols of endurance, the Cape Buffalo becomes an emblem of quiet power, a strength that doesn't need to be displayed, yet is always respected. Amid the midday stillness of the savannah, the Cape Buffalo herd moves slowly deeper into a sea of golden grass. There's no clear warning of what's about to unfold, only a shift in the wind and a few blades of grass leaning softly. Yet for creatures tuned to the breath of this land, that subtle change is enough to tint the air with something different. Something unusual is beginning to surface. In the heat haze rising from the ground, a blurred movement slips along the edge of the grass, so light it could be mistaken for the shadow of the wind. The Cape buffalo herd halts at once. A few of the largest step forward, lowering their heads until the curved horns hover close to the earth. No sound is made, yet tension spreads outward in invisible ripples. Red dust rises in layers as the Cape buffalo surge forward with the full weight of the herd. The lions respond with swift, precise, close approaches, circling like golden streaks cutting through the sea of grass. The ground trembles lightly beneath both sides, every movement decisive and charged with resolve. The savannah comes alive in a tug of war between will and resilience. Through the swirling curtain of dust that blurs the horizon, the largest buffalo suddenly push forward, forming a solid spearhead that drives back the tightening ring. The lions shift course, searching for new openings, their low, agile steps skimming across the heated ground. The two forces keep trading positions, neither willing to yield, stretching the savannah tight like a drumhead before the decisive beat. As the red dust slowly settles, the balance finally tips in one direction. The Cape buffalo hold their formation and press forward, forcing the golden shapes to retreat deeper into the distant grass. There is no triumphant roar, only the steady, determined rhythm of buffalo hooves. The savannah returns to its natural breathing, once again acknowledging the quiet strength that stood firm through the test. The Cape buffalo's strength lies not only in its size, but in a body built to endure and to stand its ground. A broad chest, solid legs, and great weight allow it to deliver forceful pushes that can reset the savannah's rhythm. This foundation is what helps buffalo maintain the upper hand when tension rises. The Cape buffalo's resolve shows most clearly in the way they face danger. There is no panic, no fragmentation. The herd instantly forms a unified mass, revealing coordination that feels almost instinctive. It is this collective spirit that has carried them through countless challenges across the vast savannah. What earns Cape buffalo their respect on the savannah is their ability to respond with flexibility in every situation. When it's time to advance, they move with force. When it's time to hold ground, they stand like pillars. That readiness keeps predators cautious, weighing every step of their approach. Steadfastness runs through every movement of the Cape buffalo. No matter how intense the pressure, they maintain a rare calm. That refusal to retreat has carried them through countless trials, shaping them into one of Africa's most formidable forces and securing a vital role in preserving the balance of the savannah ecosystem. The temperament of Cape buffalo always keeps the savannah on alert. The Daga boys that live apart from the herd are especially unpredictable, offering few signs before they act. When they meet on the same trail, a single mistimed glance is enough to change the mood. Subtle head movements, heavy breaths, and tightly set stances signal a tension that could surface at any moment. In a dust-covered clearing, two Daga boys suddenly come face to face, tension tightening like a rope pulled to its limit. One step too close and both lower their heads, driving forward with the full weight of their bodies. The impact echoes across the sea of grass as red dust billows up, blurring the horizon. Neither yields. Each powerful push becomes a test of who earns the right to move on along that narrow trail. At last, the two Daga boys slowly ease apart, their breathing still heavy, but their eyes calmer now. There is no winner or loser, only boundaries quietly reset between determined individuals. One turns onto a different path, the other continues along its own trail. The savannah returns to its familiar rhythm, as if the encounter was simply another natural chapter in this wild landscape. Extraordinary endurance is why Cape buffalo stand firm through the harshest trials. They can run at speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour, maintaining a steady rhythm despite bodies that weigh hundreds of kilos. When it's time to apply pressure, their full mass shifts forward, powerful enough to change the course of an encounter. That's why Cape buffalo become animals even top predators must think twice about approaching. While many species on the savannah travel vast distances and face countless obstacles, Cape buffalo move only in response to the land's needs without undertaking massive migrations. For them, rivers remain a familiar trial, where primal force hides beneath murky water, quietly waiting for the right moment. As the afternoon light settles over the soft riverbank, the Cape buffalo herd spreads out in a slow, unhurried rhythm. The day's final gold washes over their solid forms, highlighting the calm that has carried them through the journey. Dry grass stirs gently in the breeze, and the herd drifts back into its familiar pace of life, steady and composed, just like the savannah itself. Each Cape buffalo stands like a single piece in a portrait of strength that nature has patiently forged over thousands of years. They don't seek attention, and they don't need to display power. Simply standing still in the sea of grass, their presence alone is enough to make the savannah adjust its breathing, offering this species a deep, quiet, and absolute respect. In the wild, where the line between safety and trial is always fragile, the Cape buffalo holds its place as one of Africa's 5 most dangerous animals. Not because of speed or attack skill, but because of its toughness, unpredictability, and the ability to stand up to any pressure without hesitation. As dusk settles over the savannah, the Cape buffalo herd leaves the riverbank with unhurried steps. Their story is not only about moving through danger, but about the enduring strength hidden within calm presence. And it is this quiet steadiness that turns the Cape buffalo into a symbol of silent power in Africa's wild world. Tiger, the breath of South Asia's forests. India, where the forests close in like an ancient curtain, laying over the ground a veil of shadow, dense and alive. Within this space, a silent movement slips through the canopy, soft as breath, yet carrying the weight of a hidden presence. Familiar sounds seem to draw inward, allowing the forest to sink into a moment of waiting and mystery. South Asia's forests are not just shadows and trees. They are a living labyrinth where sambar deer move with quiet caution, as if sensing something unseen. 3 wild buffalo lift their heads to listen for unfamiliar sounds. Langur monkeys keep watch from above, and countless small creatures stir beneath the fallen leaves. Each layer of the forest operates like a finely tuned empire, preserving nature's ancient rhythm of breath. From cold streams threading through bamboo forests to valleys hidden behind rocky ridges, South Asia's wilderness unfolds into a vast domain where every inch belongs to a silent ruler. Every tree, every blade of grass carries the scent left behind by countless patrols. Within this stillness that seems motionless, every movement holds both opportunity and risk, waiting to be decided. Deep in the forest, the tiger doesn't rely on speed like a cheetah or pack tactics like wild dogs. Its power lies in absolute silence. Every step is placed as if it can hear the heartbeat of its prey. The tiger prevails by ensuring its opponent never quite understands what just happened. The tiger's power doesn't lie in muscle alone. It observes, memorizing every trail, every shift of wind, every herd that passes through. The tiger understands the forest the same way the forest understands it. Each hunt is a strategic equation, and patience is the weapon that allows it to rule in silence. Within the silence, the tiger commands. A rough sound rises from the lower leaf layer, soil being scraped, heavy breathing. Then a dark gray shape emerges, a sloth bear, the only creature in this forest bold enough not to retreat from a tiger. Two paths meeting by chance. Across a sun-scorched clearing, where the ground is coated in red dust, two forces meet without warning. The tiger surges forward like lightning, hunting instinct guiding every step. Startled, the sloth bear spins and bolts toward the thin cover of forest shadow. It doesn't turn to confront. It runs to hold on to its own patch of woodland. In that instant, the entire space seems to pause, the land itself holding its breath. Dust spirals upward as the two rivals close in, each releasing powerful, determined movements. The sloth bear pushes forward with pressure, while the tiger stays fluid, searching for an opening. Growls and roars blend into the hot wind, turning the clearing into a stage where willpower and the limits of survival instinct are put on display. While red dust still hangs in the air, another dark shape suddenly rushes in, joining the encounter with decisive force. Two sloth bears now work together, creating overwhelming pressure that shifts the balance. Sensing the loss of advantage, the tiger makes a wise retreat, gliding past the edge of golden grass and slipping free from the tightening circle. Against the golden grass, still trembling from the brief encounter, the tiger pauses beneath the trees and looks back into the empty space behind. Not a defeat, but the choice of one who understands the value of strength and time. Deep in the forest, survival belongs to those who know when to stop, so they can continue their journey. Though it lives mainly in forests, the tiger is among the world's strongest swimming big cats. It glides across the water like a purposeful current, eyes fixed on the far bank, choosing the safest route ahead. Deep pools can sometimes become an advantage, allowing the tiger to expand its territory without direct confrontation. Few people realize that tigers possess remarkably refined spatial memory. They recall every fallen log, every bamboo thicket, every trail they've crossed. Even when the forest reshapes itself after the rains, the tiger finds its old roots, as if carrying a map in its mind. That's how it keeps hold of every advantage within its home. The forest's sounds may seem chaotic, but to the tiger, everything falls into its own order. It can pick out the footsteps of a small animal beneath the leaf litter, or the faint breath of a creature hidden behind the canopy. That remarkable ability to filter sound allows the tiger to make rapid decisions, even without seeing what lies ahead. The tiger doesn't speak through sound, it speaks through scent. Instead of leaving claw marks, it often chooses to settle beneath a tree, letting its body scent soak into the rough bark. These scent signals become a silent communication network in the forest, helping individuals avoid unnecessary conflict and keeping the ecosystem moving in its natural order. Despite its fierce image, the tiger spends most of its time in calm control. It doesn't waste energy on unnecessary chases. The tiger can also sit for hours by the river's edge, watching the forest move at its own slow pace. That composure is the key that helps it measure risk, conserve strength, and endure even the harshest seasons. Within a forest that seems endless, there are invisible boundaries only the tiger can sense. A foreign scent appears on a tree trunk, fresher and stronger than before. It's not a tentative signal, but a declaration from another presence moving into the heart of the territory. The forest's calm begins to shift. Two solitary figures, each carrying the instinct to defend its own land, draw closer with every passing breath of wind. Just a brief shift in the wind is enough to ignite tensions held back for so long. Both tigers suddenly surge toward each other, not to inflict harm, but to measure strength and assert their place in this forest. The ground trembles lightly with every push, every powerful yet controlled movement, like two currents of energy testing one another's limits. Amid the circling motions of two striped orange bodies, an unexpected hush settles in. One tiger eases its step, not from weakness, but from recognizing that the balance is tipping. Its gaze shifts, determination giving way to clear judgment. In the forest, courage isn't only about moving forward, it's also knowing when to ease the pressure, to avoid a prolonged confrontation beyond intention. As the tension dissolves into the wind, one tiger steps back, turning toward the dense bamboo forest and leaving the open ground for its rival to hold. There is no winner or loser, only a choice shaped by the moment. In a world where every step is tied to survival, power sometimes comes not from possession, but from the clarity to stay composed amid nature's trials. As the two tigers drift apart, calm slowly returns to the forest canopy. Sunlight filters through the leaves, catching dust still suspended in the air. Familiar sounds rise again. Forest birds, leaves whispering in the breeze. The confrontation becomes just a fleeting moment within a rhythm of life, far greater than any single encounter. Not only tigers live here, the forest is also home to countless other lives. Langurs keep watch from above. Sambar herds move cautiously along the forest edge, and small creatures beneath the leaf litter quietly carry on their work. All exist within a fragile balance, where every species holds an essential role. The tiger may stand at the top of the hunting chain, but it is not the center of every movement. When it lowers its head to drink from a shallow stream, the water ripples briefly, then settles again. A startled bird lifts into the air. Everything else continues on, as if the forest paused for just a few beats to acknowledge what had happened. From the largest animal to the smallest creature, everything is connected by subtle relationships the naked eye can hardly see. Tigers keep grazing herds from growing too large. Young plants find room to rise, and waterways are protected from erosion. Remove one species, and the entire forest begins to change. As dusk settles over the canopy, the tiger walks the trail like the day's final shadow. In every step there is stillness, pride, and an unseen responsibility entrusted by nature. The forest endures through these harmonized breaths. And within this ever-moving life, the tiger is not only a hunter, but a symbol of the balance that nature strives to preserve.